Today we're going to be doing a video walkthrough for the mid-unit 7 review, starting on number 1. So before we start the test, I want to share with you a calculator that you could use if you don't have a decent calculator at home that doesn't allow you to use, maybe it doesn't have the functions for exponents or fractions. So what I want you to do is use this calculator at desmos.com/scientific. This has everything that you possibly would need to get by for the assessment. It has fractions, it has exponents, and that's pretty much all you need in this. So let's do a quick little review on integers. So integers are positive and negative numbers. So if we're adding 4 plus 3. Well, we type this in our calculator, 4 plus 3. They're both positive, so our answer is going to be positive. And you're going to see in this calculator, as you type it in, the answer, the solution, is shown right here. So we have like signs, they're both positive, so our answer is going to be positive. If we had -6 plus 4, we have opposite signs. One's positive, one's negative. We're going to subtract and take our bigger number. In this case, it's a 6, and our 6 is negative, so our answer has to be negative. So we're going to subtract, so 6 minus 4 is 2. And when we look, 6 is bigger, it's negative, so our answer is going to be negative 2. Let's look at multiplying and dividing. Like signs are going to be positive, so if we have two positive numbers multiplied by each other, our answer is going to be positive. If we have two negatives multiplied times each other, they're going to be positive. For instance, let's back up here. Say we had -5 times -2. It equals a positive 10. Negative and negative become positive. So like signs are positives. Opposite signs, so I'll keep the -5 there. And say we had times positive 4. So we have opposite signs, different signs. One's negative, one's positive. Our answer is going to be negative, and we just multiply across. 5 times 4 is 20. And that same rules go for division. So that's pretty much integers. So you can just type them into this calculator. It's going to be helpful. As we work through exponents, some of the key points you're going to need to know. This a to the b is your exponent. This a over b is your fraction. So let's do one. Say I wanted 2 to the 4th power. So I'm going to type in 2, the exponent key, which is a to b here. Notice it went up a little bit, so it's going to be floating above the 2 on the right-hand side. I said 2 to the 4th power, so I'm going to put 4. So that means if we're going to do this expanded form, 2 times itself, 4 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, we're going to get 16. Now, it automatically typed our answer. There's no equal sign. It does it automatically. So if we're doing, let's do another one. I'm going to say clear all. This time let's do a fraction with an exponent. So if you remember in the lessons you've learned, you need to have our fraction within parentheses. So I'm going to put a beginning parentheses. And if you can notice lightly, the other parentheses is shown. So I'm going to put a fraction next. And I'm just going to say 1 over 2, so 1/2. And I'm going to push the arrow key on my keyboard twice. So there's 1, there's twice, and I want to put this to the 3rd power. So I'm going to push the exponent button. Notice it went towards the top, and I'm going to put 3. And so this is showing 1/2 to the 3rd power. What that equals is 0.125 or 125th thousandths. But this way is not going to be helpful for the test. We want it in a fraction form. So you're going to say convert to a fraction. And there it is, 1/8. So what essentially this is saying is we need to take the exponent. So we're going to say 1 to the 3rd power and 2 to the 3rd power. Well, 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. That's where our numerator is, our top number. And 2 times 2 times 2, or 2 to the 3rd power, is 8. Because 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So it's 1/8. So that's how we use fractions and exponents. It has to be in parentheses. Same goes for a decimal. So you're going to have to use this technique on the test tomorrow. So let's start the review. There are 14 questions on this review, and there are 14 questions on the test. So here we go. It says write your answer using a single positive exponent. The key word is positive there. So if we ever come up with an answer that has a negative exponent, we need to take the reciprocal of that. We need to do a little bit more work, which you're going to see. There's going to be a few questions that have that. It says after entering your answer using the keyboard below, highlight right here. We'll highlight that to reveal the correct answer to make sure you're doing it correctly. If you're not getting these right, let us know. So we have 8 to the third power times 8 to the ninth. So when we're multiplying like this, we're going to add our exponents. So we keep the base and add our exponents. So I'm going to click on the box. It's going to bring up a box like this. This is not a calculator. It's just for inputting numbers. So our answer is going to be 8 because it's our base. It's the same. Then we're going to add our exponents. So 3 plus 9 is 12. So I need an exponent of 12. To write exponent, it's this button right here. And if you hover over it, it's going to highlight. It'll say exponent. So we want X to this box here. That's representing exponent. So you click on that. It's going to bring it up to the top right-hand side of the 8, and you're going to type in 12. So 8 to the 12th power. And to see if we're correct, you're going to highlight right there, 8 to the 12th power. Sure enough, we did it correct. Next one. We have 4 to the third, all raised to the 6th power. So we're going from a power to a power. Our rule is we're going to keep the base, but multiply our exponents. So 3 times 6 is 18. So it's going to be 4 to the 18th power. So we're going to type this in. 4 first, because that's our base. Then we need the exponent button. And then 18. 4 to the 18th power. You can see if we're correct. Yes, we are. Moving on to the third one. We're dividing with exponents. So our rule is when we're dividing, we need to subtract our exponents. So we are going to keep our base of 3. And when we subtract, we have negative 6 minus 5. We're going to get negative 11. There's going to be a problem with that. We need it's positive. So we have 3 to the negative 11th right now for our answer. So how we would write that, we think of this as, so if I did this in Desmos so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. Oh, it's clear. So we have 3 to the negative 11th. There's our answer right now. Disregard this. We're only looking at this. I need to make this into a positive. So in order to make this a positive, I need to take the reciprocal. So if you remember, all whole numbers have a 1 underneath. I need to take the reciprocal. That means we're going to flip it. So the 1 is going to become on top of our fraction, our numerator, and the 3 to the 11th power will go to the bottom. So this, when we go to the bottom or the denominator, that's where it loses the negative. So it's going to be 1 over 3 to the 11th power will be our final answer to get rid of that negative. So I'm going to delete this. We're going to put it as a fraction. So our fraction button looks like this. And so we're going to start with our numerator, our top. I'm going to put 1. And our bottom will be 3 as our base. Then we need to click on the exponent button to the 11th power. Now our answer is going to make sense. It has a positive exponent instead of a negative exponent. So this would be the correct answer we're looking for. We would not accept, it would not be correct to say 3 to the negative 11th power because we're asking for a positive exponent. So let's take a look for right. Sure enough, there it is. There is a fraction bar right here. It's just hard to see. Moving on to number 4. How we do this, we're multiplying. Once again, we need to keep this positive. We're multiplying, so when we multiply, we have a power to a power. We have to multiply our exponents, so negative 4 times 3. We have opposite signs, so our answer is going to be negative, so it's going to be 5 to the negative 12th. 5 to the negative 12th. So if we were doing that, I want to show you 5 to the negative 12th. The problem with 5 to the negative 12th, it has a negative exponent. We need to make this into a positive exponent. So once again, we need to take the reciprocal. So right now it's 5 over 1. You don't see the 1, but we always assume a whole number has a 1 underneath it. So it's going to be 1 over 5 to the 12th. When we take the reciprocal, the exponent becomes positive. So it's become 1 over 5 to the 12th. So we click on this. We're going to do the fraction. 1 is our numerator. 5, we need to the 12th, so I need the exponent button to the 12th. So our answer would be 1 over 5 to the 12th. And I'm going to highlight 1 over 5 to the 12th. Moving on to number 5. We're going to be subtracting. Being that we're dividing, we have to subtract our exponent. We need to still have a positive exponent. So we're going to keep our base the same. 2. We're going to subtract. We have 6 minus 20. Well, if you type that in your Desmos, you're going to notice it's a negative number. 6 minus 20, you're going to get negative 14. Okay, so that's our exponent. So once again, so right now, we have 2 to the negative 14th. We want a positive exponent, so we're going to flip it or take the reciprocal. So that becomes 1 over 2 to the 14th will be our answer. So we're starting 1 over 2, so we need a fraction. So 1 over 2, and we need an exponent button, 14. That's how we would write this. See if we're correct. 1 over 2 to the 14th, yes. Moving on to number 6. This one, we have like bases, different exponents, so we're going to add our exponents. Negative 3 plus 9 is going to be 6. So if you wanted to check out these integers, if you have a hard time remembering how to figure those out mathematically or just want to check your work, you can type in negative 3 plus 9 equals 6, positive 6. Our rule is when we have opposite signs like this, one's positive, one's negative, we'll subtract the 2 and take the bigger number sign. So 9 minus 3 is 6. 9's positive, so our answer has to be positive. So let's go back. So we're going to keep our base and put 6 as our exponent. Keep our base of 5, exponent, key, and then 6. 5 to the 6. Let's see if we're right. There it is. Yes, 5 to the 6. Moving on, number 7. Once we're still need to keep a positive exponent. After entering the answer, we're going to highlight. All right, so this time we have different bases. We have a 2 and a 6, but the same exponent. So on this rule, we're going to multiply our bases. 2 times 6, which is 12, and keep our exponent. So in this case, 2 times 6 is 12, and then the exponent button. We're going to keep our exponent the same, 12 to the 5th power. Number 8. Now, from here on out, you're going to be asked to evaluate. Evaluate means to solve. So your answer should not have any exponents. So in this one, we're going to show you 2 different ways. We have 8 to the 4th over 8 to the 4th. We have the same base, so we can subtract our exponents. 4 minus 4 is 0. Well, any 8, so our answer would be 8 to the 0 power. Well, anything to the 8 or to the 0 power is 1. So our answer is going to be 1. But I do want to show you another method if you wanted to use Desmos. So it's 8 to the 4th over 8 to the 4th. So I'm going to do a fraction. So it's 8 exponent buttons to the 4th. And then I'm going to click down here, our denominator side, 8 a to b, which is our exponent button, to the 4th, and it equals 1. Essentially, these are the same exact number, right? 8 to the 4th and 8 to the 4th. When you divide, like 1 divided by 1, or 2 divided by 2, 3 divided by 3, it doesn't matter. If you're dividing the same number, it's always going to be 1. So that was another way you can do this using Desmos calculator. And actually, I highly recommend using Desmos calculator for solving all of these problems for when you're asked to evaluate. So our answer is going to be 1. All right, 3 to the 7th times 3 to the negative 7th. So if you wanted to, you could put this in Desmos, and I'll show you. But in our rule is we're going to add our exponents. So 7 plus negative 7 is 0. So 3 to the 0 power. Anything to the 0 power is going to be 1. if you wanted to type this into Desmos. So I want to show you, if you would just copy this, I want to Control copy, and I'll paste it into Desmos. I'm going to clear this out. You're going to notice it's not going to be perfect. So remember our question was 3 to the 7th times 3 to the negative 7th. So when I paste this, it's not, this should be 3 to the 7th. This says 37. So I want to start with this. So I'm going to go behind 7 and delete it. We want to make that 3 to the 7th. So I'm going to keep the 3. I'm going to say the ABC, I'm sorry, the A to B, so that's our exponent. And I want to say that's 7. Now that part's right. Down here, or over here, this should be 3 to the negative 7th. And if you look, make sure if you're doing this, it should be an exponent of negative 7. So I'm going to delete minus 7. I want to make this an exponent, and then put minus 7. Now we have it correct. So when you typed it in, it came out to be 1. So that's another way you can do this. So you could try copying and pasting. If you're getting goofed up on this, I don't recommend copying and pasting though. You might just want to maybe open up 2 windows where you can see. You can have Desmos calculator on one side and the test or the review on the other side where you can see the problem and just type it in. All right, so moving on to number 10, we have to evaluate again. And this time you can highlight to see your answer. This time we have 3/5 all raised to the 3rd power. So if we're doing this, this means 3 to the 3rd and then 5 to the 3rd. So if we're doing this expanded form, it's 3 times itself 3 times and 5 times itself 3 times. So 3 times 3 times 3, 5 times 5 times 5. So, but if we're going to do this, I highly recommend doing this as Desmos. So I'm just going to type it in. So 3/5 to the 3rd. I want to clear this. I'm going to put a parentheses because we have to include parentheses on when we're dealing with fractions. I'm going to say the fraction button, 3 over 5. I'm going to push the arrow key, 1, 2, so now I'm on the other side of that parentheses. And if you need to look back, 3/5. Now I need it to the all raised to the 3rd power. So I'm going to go back, push our A to B, and we're going to say to the 3rd power. Now if you look at our answer, it comes out to be this fraction, this decimal, 216 thousandths. We don't want it to look like that. We want the fraction form. So you're going to click on this, convert to a fraction, and there it is. This is what we want, 27 over 125. So 27 over 125. So you click on this, you're going to say the fraction button. Our numerator was 27, our denominator was 125. So 27 125ths. That's how we would say that problem. That would be our answer. Essentially, when I said expanded form, 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 3 is 27. We're going to do the same thing for our bottom, our denominator. 5 times 5 is 25, times 5 again would be 125. So 27 over 125, let's see if we're right. Oops. There it is, 27 over 125. Moving on to number 11. This one says, remember to evaluate means to solve. Your answer should not have an exponent. So we have 4 to the 2nd power, all raised to the 4th power. So if you remember, we got to multiply our exponents. 2 times 4 is 8. So we just got to find out what 2 to the 8th power is. So we can go back to the Desmos. I want to clear this. 2 exponent key 8 is 256. Our answer is going to be 256. So I'm going to put 256, 256. The other way, if you wanted to actually put this in, what's this copy? When I want to show you this. If you copy and paste the ones with parentheses, they get a little goofy. If I copy this and put it into Desmos, I want to clear this out. Our answer is going to be 256. We'll verify. So it was, if we look, right now it says 42 times 4, essentially. We know that's not right. It should be 4 to the 2nd power inside parentheses, and then the outside, there's a 4. So let's look at, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to make this to the 2nd power. I'm going to get outside my parentheses, and I'm going to put exponent key, and then 4. So our answer is going to be, well, what did I do last time? 65,536 will be our answer. So I want to see what I did last time. I said 256. I must have typed something wrong. 65,536, let's go over that again. So it's 4 to the 8th. So if we clear this out, 4, 8 is 65,536. I wonder if I put this as 4? Yeah, I must have did this as 4. I don't know why I did that. It should have been 8. 65,536 is our answer. Number 12, we're going to evaluate this one. Notice we have a negative exponent, so our answer is actually going to be in a fraction form. So if you just copy this, see what this equals. So 5 to the negative 4th. Clear this out, see how it turns out. It should be 5 to the negative 4th. Right now it says 5 minus 4, so I want to get rid of that. I want to put the exponent button and say negative 4. And I want to hit the fraction button, 1 over 625. The reason why it's fraction like this is because of that negative exponent. So 1 over 625 will be your answer. So we do that, we need a fraction. 1 over 625 will be our answer. See if you're right. 1 over 625 is correct. Moving on, number 13, we only have a couple more left. This one, we have different bases and different exponents. So we're just going to solve this. So I'm just going to copy this, paste it into our Desmos. It's not going to be perfect, but we know that. We're just going to make some corrections. This should be 3 to the 2nd power, so I'm going to get rid of the 2. Put the exponent 2, so 3 to the 2nd power times 4. This should be to the 3rd power, not 43. So I'll get rid of my 3, hit my exponent button to the 3rd power. So 3 squared times 4 to the 3rd will be 576. So we can go back. 576. And moving on to our last one. Our last one, there's 5 different problems that we need to check. It says select all the expressions that equal 2 to the negative 8th. So what we got to do is test each one of these and see which ones are equal to 2 to the negative 8th. So we have 2 to the 2nd power all raised to the negative 4th power. When we do that, we're going to, a power to a power means to multiply. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. So our answer would be 2 to the negative 8. Yep, that one works out. So we'll click it. We're going to select it. The next one is probably the most difficult one that you're going to deal with of these 5. We're going to do our numerator first, which is the top part of the fraction, and then our denominator. So this is multi-step problem. So we have 2 to the 9th times 2 to the negative 3rd. We have like bases, so we're multiplying, so we have to add our exponents. So it's going to be 2, and our exponent is 9 plus negative 3, or 9 minus 3 is 6, so 2 to the 6th power over 2 to the 14th. So 2 to the 6th over 2 to the 14th. We're going to subtract our exponent. 6 minus 14 is negative 8. So our answer will be 2 to the negative 8th. Yes, that one will work. Next one. We have like bases, 2 different signs. That's okay, so we're going to add across. Negative 5 plus 3 would be negative 2. So 2 to the negative 2. Nope, that one does not work. So we leave it blank. Fourth one. We have like bases, so we're going to subtract our exponents. Negative 3 minus 5 would be 2 to the negative 8th. Yes, that one works. And our last one, this one has a fraction in. So I might, if I had to convert this into a fraction, it would be 1 over 2 to the 8th. 1 over 2 to the 8th, positive 8. So this would be 1, and this is power to a power, so it's going to be 4 times 4 is 16, so 1 over 2 to the 16th, which is not the same as 1 over 2 to the 8th. So this one would not work. So these would be our 3 answers. So that pretty much concludes our review today. If you have any questions, feel free to ask your teacher. Have a great day and good luck on your test